Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain how to pronounce the vowel sounds that we find in the German language. These are the vowel sounds that we find in German. We can see that in Standard German, and that's the accent I'm going to use in this video, there are 15 vowels, and the number of vowels could vary depending on the accent, but as I said, in this video I'm going to explain only these vowels because I think these are the most important vowel sounds, or in other words, these are the phonemes of Standard German. Before I begin explaining each one of these vowels, there are some important features that we need to know about the German language regarding vowels. The German vowels can be classified in pairs. These pairs are composed of vowels whose pronunciation is very similar, except for a phonetic element that makes the distinction between them. The most relevant kind of pair is that composed of a closed vowel and an open vowel. An example of this is the vowel e and its opposing vowel e. As it happens in other languages, notably Germanic languages, open vowels tend to be short vowels as well, and closed vowels tend to be long vowels as well. Then, in German, there are pairs of vowels composed of a relatively close and long vowel and its opposing vowel, which is relatively open and short. In general, the German language distributes close long vowels in syllables that are open and strong. Meanwhile, open short vowels normally appear in closed syllables, in both strong and weak syllables. When we say closed or open syllables, we refer to spelling and not to phonetics. A word like Himmel is composed of the syllables Himmel. Nevertheless, for spelling purposes, Himmel is the right division. This means that, although phonetically an open syllable, the sound H belongs to the orthographic syllable him. Therefore, the letter I represents the short E because it appears in a closed syllable. Of course, this rule has many exceptions, above all monosyllabic words. Another kind of pair is that composed of vowels whose main difference is the roundness of the lips. This type of distinction does not exist in English, but it does in other Germanic languages. Fortunately, the roundness of the lips makes a big difference in the way we perceive sounds. This means that many students don't have difficulties distinguishing unrounded vowels from their rounded vowels. The first vowel I want to describe is E. E. I'm sure you're very used to this sound because it is practically the same E that we find in the English word feed. It is the long E, so I think there's no problem for English speakers to pronounce this sound. As it happens in English, in German, this is a long vowel. We find it normally represented by combinations like IH and IE in any kind of syllables, and by the letter I when this letter belongs to an open syllable. We find it in words like Ihnen, wie, Ihnen, wie. The next vowel is E. E. I know this sound can be very difficult for English speakers because it does not exist in English, but this sound is simply the rounded version of E. Then we only need to round the lips when we pronounce the sound E. E, 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 E. As we can hear, this is also a long vowel. As a long vowel, it is more common to find this sound in open syllables. For instance, in words like fühlen, über, fühlen, über. The next vowel sound is E. E. This vowel is very similar to the E sound that we find in the English word fit. E. E. In German we can say that the E sound is the open and short version of the E sound. As an open vowel and short vowel, this sound normally appears in closed syllables and in both stressed and unstressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter I. For instance, in words like ich, Mittel, ich, Mittel. The next vowel is Ü. Ü. I know this vowel can be very difficult, but this sound is simply the rounded version of E. E, Ü. Then we only need to round the lips when we pronounce the short E. E, Ü. 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 We can relate this vowel sound to the Ü sound. This Ü sound is the short and open version of Ü. Ü. As an open vowel, this sound normally appears in closed syllables in both stressed and unstressed syllables. For instance, in words like müssen, zurück, müssen, zurück. The next vowel is E. E. We can hear this is a long vowel sound, and perhaps that can be difficult for English speakers because this sound does not exist in English, at least not exactly as an English vowel, but it is very close to the E sound in a word like red, but I would say pronounced with the mouth more closed. E. E. This sound normally appears in open and stressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter E, by the letter A umlaut, and by a combination like EH. For instance, in the words Lehre, gegen, Säge, Lehre, gegen, Säge. The next vowel is Ü. Ü. This sound can be difficult for English speakers, but as we can imagine, this is simply the rounded version of E. E, Ü. Ü. As a long vowel, this sound normally appears in open and stressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter O umlaut. For instance, in words like mögen, König, mögen, König. The next vowel is E. E. As we can hear, this is a short vowel in German, and this sound is practically the same E that we find in the English word red. E. E. As a short vowel, this sound normally appears in closed syllables, in both stressed and unstressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter E and by the letter A umlaut. For instance, in the word Tränen, Tränen. The next vowel is Ö. Ö. This vowel sound does not exist in English, but as we can imagine, this is simply the rounded version of E. E, Ö. Ö. As we can hear, this is a short and open vowel, and as an open vowel, this sound normally appears in closed syllables in both stressed and unstressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter O umlaut. For instance, in the word öffnen, öffnen. The next vowel is A. a. We can say that this sound is practically the same a found in the English word bag as it is pronounced in British English. A. In German, this sound is always represented by the letter A, and as we can hear, this is a short vowel sound. As a short vowel sound, this sound normally appears in closed syllables. For instance, in a word like man, man. The next vowel sound is a, a. This sound is the same a that I have already described, but in this case longer. A, a. In German, this sound is always represented by the letter A and by the combination AH. We find it in words like Wagen, Mahnen, Wagen, Mahnen. Let's speak now about central and neutral vowel sounds. In German, we can say that there are two neutral vowel sounds, the and sound. The sound could be very similar or even related to the English schwa. In German, this sound, as a neutral vowel, normally appears in unstressed syllables. We find it represented by the letter I. For instance, in the words gehen, sage, gehen, sage. We can see this phoneme is represented by this symbol in German, but I would say its pronunciation is not exactly like the sound in English. I would say in German the sound is pronounced with the mouth more closed. The other neutral vowel sound is a. As we can see, this sound is pronounced with the mouth more open. This sound could be described as the sound found in the English word but. I would say it is practically the same, at least with the same phonetic qualities. What's the difference between and a? The only difference is that the sound exists as a product of a combination like I. As we know, Standard German is an erratic accent, and this means that the sound is only pronounced when the letter R is between vowels. In this case, a combination like I, when the R is not pronounced, normally produces the sound. We find this sound in words like aber, oder, aber, oder. And let's move on to the back vowels. The first back vowel is oo. Oo. As you can hear, we could classify this vowel as a long vowel. This sound is similar to the English oo, but pronounced with the tongue moved backwards. In English we have ü, in German oo. Oo. As a long vowel, this sound normally appears in open and stressed syllables. This sound is represented by the letter U. We find it in words like suchen, tun, suchen, tun. The next vowel is U. U. This vowel is the open and short version of U. This vowel sound is very similar to the English U that we find in a word like bush. U. Perhaps in German this vowel sound is pronounced with the mouth more closed and the tongue closer to the back of the mouth. This sound is represented by the letter U. We find it in words like Luft, unser, Luft, unser. The next vowel is O. As we can hear, this is a long and close vowel sound. This sound is practically the same O that we find in the English word Lord. O. As a long vowel, this sound normally appears in open and stressed syllables. We find this sound represented by the letter O and by the combination OH. We find this sound in words like wohnen, Burgen, wohnen, Burgen. And finally, the next vowel sound is O. As you can hear, this is an open and short vowel, and this is the open and short version of O. We can say that this vowel is very similar or practically the same as the O sound that we find in the English word lot. O. As an open vowel in German, this sound normally appears in closed syllables. We find it represented by the letter O. We find this sound in the word wollen. Wollen. Very well, these have been the vowel sounds that we find in German, in Standard German. But as I said, many more vowels could appear depending on the speaker, depending on the accent. For me, these are the most important sounds because they really represent the phonemes of Standard German. I hope this information will be helpful. Until next time.